Mindsight 2020. April's Mindsight has been a mind fuck. I already had 12 topics picked out for the year. That's what this Mindsight 2020 is all about for me. It's about exploring some topics that expands my mind. And hopefully in December I can look back and think on all that I've studied and all that has happened. And for most of us, that means the coronavirus. Now, the topic that I had picked out for April, because I like to alliterate, is alignment. Now, I picked alignment because I like studying the law of attraction and living an aligned life, and studying the 4 aspects of the law of attraction and manifestation. That's been key with my studies with this month. Now, I don't feel aligned. I don't know, it's like this brick is on my chest, like I can't leave, I can't seem to push past the 4 walls. Now, disclaimer, this is my normal. I don't have I don't have agoraphobia or whatever, but I don't tend to leave the house for weeks at a time. It's just by design. I don't have a car, and me and my husband only have one vehicle, so he works all day and I stay home. And it's almost like the pressure of staying home now that we have to is even heavier than knowing the years that I've been doing this. It's almost like heavier burdens now, which is weird because I've never been someone that had to go out to places. I've been a severe introvert my entire life. It seems like whatever I've been manifesting lately, I feel powerless to it. I feel like what I'm manifesting can't come to fruition because of this damn virus. And that's a harsh mentality to have too, because when living the law of attraction, when living through those types of aspects and stuff like this comes along, it's nice to think that I would be ready for it and that I would still maintain a part of my spiritual practice that can withstand all of these thoughts, but it's been really tough to do that. And so when I saw that April's topic, as soon as I put down March's topic, which is when I upload the video for Mindsight, I'll get out my new topic for the next month, and that's when I'll begin studying it. And that's what I did with this, and that seemed like the day, like a few days before I uploaded that video, was the day that they told us about the quarantine for my state. And I just remember feeling like, damn, I really could have talked about this, but it was still new, right? For me and my family, and the quarantine itself and staying indoors and whatever, that was still fairly new when I uploaded that. So I chose to spend April's topic studying up on the law of attraction a little bit more and how to redirect my mindset to where I feel like I have not control, because you can't control this type of situation, but how the lack of control makes us feel, the stress we feel, and how that's changed my spiritual practice and my manifestation practice, even like spell work and all of that. It's changed all of that because my mindset isn't as firm as it was before all this. There seems to be so much sludge with what's going on that when it's time for me to take the reins, so to speak, I feel powerless. Now, it is said in the law of attraction that your brain undergoes, or your mind undergoes, an incredible shift to be able to obtain what it wants and to get the change, to enact the changes that you've been wanting. Think about what's happening right now. Think about the shift that's happening right now and how this is affecting everyone on earth almost. It seems we're all being flung out of our comfort zone. So I want to talk about the 4 aspects of the law of attraction. First, there's the thought. You have a thought. Maybe it's not a good thought, right? But you have a thought, which is activated by a feeling. And then that feeling turns into a desire. Once those 3 are aligned, you begin to set an actual intention. The intention, the intent of doing something, of making a change, of creating a shift, causes you to go into action. Focused, it'll inspire you to do something about the thought and the desire. And then all of that, once that's aligned, it rewires your brain into new beliefs, right? I believe that that's what open-mindedness means. When your brain figures out new things that you're desirable about and then you act upon those, it fires off new sensors in your brain that expands the brain. And that's what open-mindedness is to me. They all have to be aligned to get the result, to get that manifestation. If you stop at desire and you really don't have the will to take the action, it's not really an action you want to take. And then you have to go back to the first 2 steps, which are thought and desire, and realign those or redo them all together. Really think about them. Now more than ever, our brains are trying to figure out what our current situation is, whether it's going to be a benefit to the earth, a benefit to like culture in general, or is it going to cause pain? Is it going to cause further and further pain on down the line? It's just the fear of the unknown is so heavy with so many people. And I think it's up to us to turn those thoughts, because that's number 1, into positive thinking, like positive thoughts. Instead of thinking about the unknown, what we can't control, what we think is going to cause pain, instead of having those thoughts, because that will lead to, that could end up leading to actions that we don't want. Taking precautions, right? Those actions that aren't going to benefit us in the long run. And I like to think of what this is doing to us as humans, and how if I had this thought, like this is going to be a learnable experience. Think about the mentality that most Americans, okay, I'll say Americans, have, is the live to work mentality. And this incredible shift, okay, now I'm not saying that this virus is incredible, I'm saying that the shift has been incredible. It's just been eye-opening for a lot of people. But with this quarantine, it seems to be like, if we're focusing on live to work mentality, and then all of us are having a quarantine at home, many of us lost our jobs, right? Then we could turn that into a let's work to live mentality. And now I'm not saying that there's going to be always happy thoughts with this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that for me, the shift seems to be shifting people from a live to work mentality to more of a work to live mentality. You go to work because you have to. Not because it's all you are. Not because that's all you have to be. You go to work to make money, to be happy in whatever instance that is for you. Now, every single law of attraction resource I have read says for you to do 2 things to be successful with the law of attraction, is to make lists. And at first, when I read about making lists, I'm a note taker. I take extensive notes about everything. That's always been like a love of mine, is to just write everything down. And I don't really make lists though. My thoughts tend to be jumbled, and they're jumbled on the paper as well. There's really no organization. But with the law of attraction and the two things they tell you to do, the two lists they tell you to write, are one, make a to-do list. Seems pretty easy. I do that all the time. I have a giant whiteboard, like a schoolhouse whiteboard, in my hallway, and I write everything on there. Tests, homework, doctor's visits, all that. Those are lists too. Those are my to-do lists. You know, we draw down grocery lists on there. Like if we notice something and it doesn't really make it to the actual grocery list, I'll jot it down so that I make sure it does get on that list. So those are lists too. Make a to-do list and then make a list about how, which I don't do this, how doing those things on your to-do list make you feel. Which is such a profound thought because we think, okay, go to the grocery store, get the dog to the vet, you know, whatever, those types of appointments. Oh, we have to do this by 3 o'clock today, right? I have to upload my video by blah, blah, blah time. Those types of things. We don't think about how they make us feel. We just, for some reason, have these to-do lists, and then that's all we do with them. And then we erase them after we've done it, right? But as those are number 1 and 2, thought and feeling, your thoughts get jot down. This doesn't have to be stuff you have to do, okay? It doesn't have to be to-do lists. It could be your general thoughts. Like I do, I take extensive notes. If that's the case, take extensive notes. But then on the other side of the paper, write down how these notes make you feel. Those are the first 2 thoughts in the law of attraction, attracting, manifesting things. And I thought that was so profound because we don't really write about how we feel about what we write down. But then to make it a desire, it reminds me of the aces in tarot. It's like divine possibility, like potential to get things done. That's where desire is. You can write down your thoughts all day. You don't have to do anything with your thoughts. You can feel things, you can think things, and you can feel things, but you don't have to act on any of them. They could just be jumbled, filled up pages on a paper that's going to be forgotten, right? Hardly any of them turn into desires, which turn into actions. But desire is like that turning point of how your thoughts and feelings get churned and turn into a desire. I think of everything as like energetic, right? I'm very animistic with things. And if I thought, because I think that way, I don't really try to think of the mental realm as different than the physical realm. If I'm thinking it, then even like sometimes I think about parallel universes too. If I'm thinking it and feeling it, and I'm peaking on desiring it, then that's probably already happening in a parallel universe somewhere. And then I'm bound to make that happen now in mine. I kind of like to think of that too. I'm getting sci-fi with you guys. Among this existential victimhood we seem to be going on right now, that seems to be happening, this chaos, I like to ask myself one thing: who am I? I've touched on this before, but when I think of the question, who am I have to actually tell myself, like write that question down as part of your writing list down. Who am I? Questions to ask yourself, right? Write those down, and then how do those make you feel? Well, when I think about who I am, and I think about I don't leave my house, and now we're under, actual quarantine, how do those make me feel? I have to actually tell myself at the very end of all this, I'm not my anxiety. I'm not the fear that this virus holds on everyone. That's not who I am. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not who you were before this virus hit. And you're not who you are when all this is going to be over. I have to put those things down in a journal almost every day, so that my anxiety and my sleeplessness doesn't get to a point where it's going to actually hinder me health-wise. And I've talked about this in another video too, being Alice. Think about impossible things. Like some some cloud entity is gonna, some vacuum deity is coming in to suck the virus out of everything. How powerful that thought is, and how impossible that thought seems, that this vacuum deity is gonna come and suck the virus, this coronavirus, right out of everybody. How great is that thought? Now, as it's Earth Day today, which I loved that it fell, that this actual new moon fell on Earth Day, is that I love that the memes have been going around lately about how since everyone's quarantined, there's less cars on the road, there's less people out, right? People are staying in. That it's kind of like the earth is going to take a big deep breath and heal, the ozone. And it's not going to happen overnight. I'm just saying that it does. That's a powerful thought too, much like my impossible vacuum deity. With the earth, it's such a powerful thought. If all of us had that thought about the earth healing itself, and then we really felt like how it would feel to breathe non-smog air because she cleansed herself during this coronavirus outbreak. If all of us had that thought and then we felt that thought, we could manifest that. We could manifest the earth healing. All the power of all of us having that thought and that feeling and then desiring it to happen and then doing something about it. That's the law of attraction. We could all heal the earth that way. And it's like, people on Earth Day, they usually plant a tree or whatever. And I just like to spend some time outside. That's all I need to do. I just need to go out there and be barefoot. And that's how I'm going to tell the earth I love her. I'm going to have thoughts of the earth. I'm going to have thoughts of grounding and how great the grass feels on my feet. And then I'm going to feel that, and I'm going to feel her taking those breaths. And I'm going to desire for her to be healed like us. I'm going to have those desirous thoughts for everyone that's hurting with this virus to make it through some way or the other. And for the earth too. And that's what I'm going to do today, is go out there and be with her. So, to recap, you need a thought. You need to have a thought. Write it down. Write them all down. Then you need to you need to decide how those make you feel, how those thoughts make you feel. Those anxious thoughts, right? Those good thoughts, whatever. Think about how they make you feel and write that down. That's 2 lists. And then one of those you'll start to think on all the time, or a couple. And then that becomes a desire, right? It sparks something like the Ace of Wands, and it sticks with you, it stays with you, and then all of a sudden you desire it. And then when you do, and you desire it, and you've done the work, all 3 of those, you'll take an action. And that will be a beautiful thing. So, I hope that you like my Mindsight videos. Yes, mainly these are for me so that in December I can look back in hindsight and figure out if I can learn something about myself and how my mind is expanding. Today, I knew I wanted to have an activity for all of these, for people to be able to participate to if they wanted. But I just want you to be with the earth today. Just go outside. Just have thoughts of the earth healing, and then feel the earth healing, and then desire the earth healing. And then take one small action. Maybe decide that action could be watering a plant on the fire escape, whatever. So, I hope this was informative, and I hope this was fun. And I will see you in May on the new moon for some more Mindsight 2020. Much love.